Hey guys, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the session all over the world. I'm Jeff. I'm the CEO and founder of TwinSpace. Here we have the other speaker, the CTO and co-founder of TwinSpace, Henry. And today we're going to talk about digital identities across borders, how governments and NPOs handle Homo sapiens, which is human. So we will briefly touch base about each country and how they build the digital identity that can manage and provide more convenient lifestyle to their citizens, and how can they create troubles and the risks. All right, so briefly about myself. I'm not a very hacker style person, but I do programming when I was in unit. I'm the 3-time founder, failed twice. I was educated in Hong Kong UST, EPFL, and I did my master in UC Berkeley. So after I started company Turing around 6 years ago, I started delivering speech about the digital identity and also building a global passport across the border in UN, in the National Organization of Employment, UC Berkeley, Jose, and TEDx. And we have Henry, who will briefly introduce himself. If not, I'm going to talk about the co-founder and CTO of TwinSpace, a 2-time founder, and he was educated in NCKU in Taiwan, and ex-Go Freight, a peer, you might have heard of it many times. He did a pitch in Web Summit and also spoke in Shibuya Web3 universities. So that's about us. So today's topic, digital identity, is an identity that is digitalized. So let's break it down into 3 parts. Usually when we talk about digital identity, the philosophy is to present and also to prove who you are, right? And for someone who know you, or maybe that person didn't know you, how can you prove that you are the person that you claim to be, right? And that is usually like 3 ways. The first one is tell me what you know, right? What you know. You might know something that only you know. That could be password. The second one is what you have. So you might have your mobile phone that has a 2-factor authentication on it. So you have your mobile phone, that means you are you. Right? The third one could be what you are. I said what instead of who is because what usually means is a market on your body, physical body. So it could be about your fingerprints, your profile, your biometric data. So usually digital identity can be easily approached by what you know, what you have, or what you are. And let's start from history. So we can have the easiest part at the beginning. Around 800,000 years ago, there are villages and also like ancient people, when they want to prove they're from what family, they're from what tribes, they use jewelry. And this thing on the right button is called beads. Basically a very beautiful little stone. And then you can make it kind of like the necklace, and then you can pass it on to your bloodline. So everyone know, oh, when I see this kind of like tiny stone, I know you're from a wealthy family. You're from maybe the religious part of the tribes. So that's about what you have. When you own it, when you have it, maybe you rub it from the other tribes, and then you can prove that you are a very important person in the tribes. And similar to that, nowadays soldiers, we have a dot tag, right? So you can easily recognize each soldier by looking at their dot tag. Around 1046 years before century, we start to have tattoos. So there are a few different sayings about where tattoos came from, but actually tattoos may not start from a decoration purpose. So in China, ancient China, we have the Zhou dynasty, Zhou Cao, right? And they write down this kind of like using tattoo to identify prisoners. So that is actually one of the thing when prisoner they do something bad, they will be put on the tattoo on their face. And when they walk on the street, when they do the daily life and routine, people can easily tell, oh, that person is a bad person, and that person might have already done something bad in the past. So that's about what you are, right? Because this kind of marks will be on your physical body, on your face. So that's where tattoo came from. And tattoo, some people also said some ancient tribes, they also use it to distinguish from tribe A to tribe B because they have different style of the tattoos. So that could be another thing. The third part, around 1415 AD, right now, that there's the first passport starting from the UK. So the King Henry V of the England he actually launched this kind of Safe Conduct Act in 1414, and that would be a first passport because they don't have a kind of like name of a country, but they have this kind of a kingdom. When kingdom, they have traveler going from one kingdom to the other kingdom. Sometimes you need to make sure your own safety is being secured. So when English citizens they went to foreign territory, they will bring this kind of like paper based with some marks, some writings on it to prove, oh, I'm actually from UK, I'm actually from England, and you need to let me pass through, and you need to protect my safety in the name of King Henry V. So that's about what you have, right? So when you pass the city wall and there are soldiers in front of you, you just show them, oh, I have this, the paper-based passport. And there is an interesting part start to happen because proving who you are or proving you are the person you claim to be by just what you have isn't sufficient. So in 1915, we are in World War I. There's a scandal about a spy who's actually from Germany, who spied in UK, and he actually get a fake ID from, or actually not a fake ID. He get someone else identity from a American people who lost his identity, and the Germany intelligence department get it, and then they just give it to the Lodi, whose name is also Carl. And Carl actually spied in UK for quite a long time, for several years. Nearly in the end of the World War I, he just got discovered, and then he's getting executed. But people start getting trouble saying, oh, if you only have your name on the paper-based documents, it's really hard to tell that you're the same person without a photo ID. So maybe not just what you have. We need to also see what you are by having your photo, a real photo that we can compare with the paper and also the real person at the time being. So that's the brief history about how the identity goes from really far in the past to normal beings. And even right now, people think, oh, digital identity is a very usual, very common thing right now because we can log in to a lot of services by Google, Amazon, Facebook, and we can also, like, we even have a lot of cards in our purse about your healthcare ID. In the United States, we have a social security number. In Taiwan, we also have like national identity cards. But the World Bank said there's still 1.1 billion people in the world that are unable to prove their identity. So without being able to prove who they are lack access to very important services such as healthcare, social protection, education, and finance. So in order to use some important services provided by the government, the first thing you need to do is to prove that you're under the protection of the government, which means you are citizens, right? But some people still cannot do that, and that's a problem for now. And before looking into the problem, I want to talk about a bit on like what countries actually work on digital identities, and they might do a good job for now as a leading country. First one, India. India Aadhaar is the biggest digital identity system in the world. The biggest, I mean the largest population. They have 1.3 billion, nearly 92.7%, and almost all the adults are using this. And what they have is they have a face recognition, fingerprints, even iris scan. Iris scan means they take a quick photo about your eye to recognize the pattern of your iris. And because each person, they born different on their iris. So, and it usually cannot be changed during your entire lifetime. So it's one of the way to easily distinguish people. They also have a physical cards and the digital identity on assistance. For people, their password is a first four letter of their name and also the year of birth. So it might be kind of like a simple version of the password, but they do use it. But it's quite easy to break in. So that's the password part. It has some benefits. So you can easily access services such as governmental service, bank, healthcare, mobile. But when I look into the comments and also some people who have used it, is that even though it's voluntary, but citizens are severely limited without it. So what I mean is, even though like in India, Aadhaar said, everyone you can join at wish, but if you don't join, then you will not be able to access most of the thing provided by the governments. So kind of like subtly enforce everyone to use it. So that's another risk creating right now. The second country, Estonia EID. I also just got on the Estonia e-residency this year. So it become quite convenient for people actually to prove who they are, even foreigners, and to create a business, to get married, to buy the house, to do e-signing for every day-to-day business and contracts. So the special thing about Estonia EID is it is the highest coverage national identity, nearly 99% of the entire population, 1.4 million. It has fingerprints, and it also presents you with a physical card and digital identity. It has two PIN. So PIN 1 is to authenticate you. PIN 2 is for you to e-sign documents. So pretty clear. You can access services about voting, paying bills, prescriptions. So it's a quite delicate services. Around 600 citizens and 2,400 business services are available. And so far, 1 billion digital signature has been already signed. So I also read from some comments. It said like nearly everything you can did it with the EID, except for marriage and buying houses. And when I look into the detail, the reason why is even though they can still do like be married or buying houses by EID, but people want to do it in person. So it's still got option, but people want to do it in person. So that's an interesting part. So third country, Singapore SingPass. Because we are quite near to Singapore. So a lot of people might have already heard of it, or maybe some friends from Singapore have already shown you how it has been done. It's the everything you can do ID. Very high coverage, 97%, 4.5 million people using it. They have a facial recognition, and they don't have physical cards. That's very important. They don't have the physical card you can hold in your purse. They only have a digital ID and can be easily accessible by QR codes. And everyone has a 6-digit passcode. So here the thing that could be noticed is, even though we want high security, but digital ID is to be provided to general public. So the convenience need to be severely considered. So if the passcode is like 20 digits or even longer, I think it will create much more trouble to the citizens. The Singapore part, you can access lots of service, e-signing, alerts, financial planning. I also see some of my friends who just check and buy their insurance on the Singapore SingPass. It's quite cool. Around 700 governmental and business services can be accessible on the app. And they have the same problem as the India Aadhaar, like citizen limited without it. So if you are in Singapore, if you are in India, without the local national EID, you can barely do a thing. So that's one benefits, and another one, on the other hand, it could be a trouble. The last one, Sweden Bank ID. The ID special part about it is it was not created by the country governments. It's derived from top banks. So high coverage, 99% of Swedish citizens have been using it, around 8 million people. It has a Face ID, Touch ID, voice recognition. Why I put Face ID and Touch ID is because it's like seamlessly connected to the SDK from the iOS phone. So they are not building this kind of technology by themselves. They're actually using the available and existing technology. So that's quite cool and quite user-friendly. And second thing is they don't have a physical card. So same as the SingPass, right? They have a digital ID, can be presentable by QR code. They have a 6-digit password, and they make it easy to create, but they also want it to be not easy for people to steal the other person's password, because most of the people, we are lazy. So we might just type in like 6 ones or 6 zeros. So they make it like no ascending order or just one repeated numbers. So you can access services such as banking, e-signing, tax filing, and vaccine booking. And I think that's for during the COVID period. And it was built by 7 Scandinavian banks. So just 7 banks from Sweden. And the thing is, it's very easy for citizens, but the limitation is it's nearly impossible for foreigners to get one, which means if someone who travel to Sweden and they want to work there, they want to stay there, but they don't have their national identity, they are not born in Sweden, it'll be very hard for them to survive because when they are not citizens, they will have no access to create a bank ID. So that's a current problem for now.
Thank Jeff for sharing many experienced countries which has already adopted the national identity system. Next, let me talk more about how most countries or organizations handle digital identity infrastructure and technology. As we already know, identity encapsulates three fundamental questions: what you know, what you have, and what you are. It makes our digital identity interactions, shaping how we access, interact online. However, if we dive deeper, there is no real touchable, visible identity exists in the world. So, how you prove? I'm Henry, co-founder and CTO of Turing Space. How you prove I'm who I am in this society? Credentials. Right. A credential refers to a document or certificate proving a person's identity or qualifications. I'm Henry from Turing Space because I have my business card certified by Turing. I can buy a drink at 7-Eleven without any cash because I have my credit card certified by bank. I want to walk into a bar after 12 a.m. tonight because I have my Taiwan ID card certified by Taiwan government, and the card have my birthday to prove I'm older than 18 years old. Credential proves your identities. Credential proves your qualifications. Credential proves you are you in this social network. Today's society, credential basically equals to your identity. So credential is definitely one of the most important things of identity infrastructure. Let's see how we use it in this digital world. First, you have a credential, which is issued by government or authority. Then, when you want to access your credential, you need to input a 6 to 12 digits code only you know, we call password. Finally, you need to prove you are the owner of the credential, like Face ID, Touch ID, or Voice ID. It is biometrics. So, the process primarily involves digital credentials, password accessibility, and biometrics control. The whole process in this digital world, we call it authentication. When you want to do any interaction online, you need to be authenticated. Each component plays a crucial role in affirming our digital identity. And it also brings some challenges about privacy. Digital privacy is an inevitable issue nowadays. Where is my data? How to access? Which scope people can access? All limited or minimized? Is anyone I don't know can see my data? I have no idea. There are thousands of scenarios we need to consider. About credentials, how to verify. About passwords, how to make sure it is secure or the encryption technology is strong. About biometrics, how to check you are you. Next, let's dive deep into issues. How to verify credentials. Let me introduce public key infrastructure called PKI. PKI was proposed in the early 1970s as the British Intelligence Agency. The purpose of PKI is to secure digital transfer of information for a range of network activities, such as e-commerce, internet connections, banking, and digital signature. In cryptography, PKI creates a pair of keys. Each key pair consists of public key and a corresponding private key. Mostly, we use private key to encrypt data to a verifiable credential and use public key to decrypt credential to get data. So, how to verify credential with PKI? Like, Taiwan government will encrypt the credential via their private key, and we can verify the credential by public key of Taiwan government in the cloud. PKI ensures trust between the sender of the recipient. One of the most common uses of PKI is the TLS and SSL, which secures HTTP communications to HTTPS. And this infrastructure becomes the basis of the digital signature today. How to make sure the password is secure? While using passwords to protect digital assets, there are definitely minors. Cybercriminals can find passwords if they want. If they find one password, I'm sure you may have reused the password in many accounts, right? Multi-factor key is an additional layer of security to prevent unauthorized users. Like answer questions only you know, your elementary school name, your first girlfriend, your happiness memory, or send a one-time password to your binding device, phone, watch, or any fixed access. In summary, verifying something only you know is one of the ways to eliminate privacy concerns. How to check you are you? Biometrics leverages our unique physical characteristics to create a more seamless and secure authentication process. Facial recognition maps the geometry of a person's face, creating a digital key that represents a person's unique facial features. Fingerprint recognition relies on the complicated patterns of found one person's fingerprint, which are difficult to replicate. Iris recognition, highlighted by the vibrant patterns of the eyes, use the unique color and structure of the iris to know who you are. Every time after I study some reports of biometrics, asking is he or she really him or her, I'm sure the biological technologies have become more common. Let's talk more about iris and retina recognition. There are some similarities and differences that differentiate the two models. Iris recognition uses a camera which is similar to any digital camera to capture an image of the iris. Retina scanning requires a very close encounter with the scanning device that sends a beam of light deep inside the eye to capture an image of the retina. Both are extremely accurate and low false negative rate. The iris recognition is a non-intrusive method, so it's more acceptable for people, but it's high cost because of environmental constraints. After talking lots of technologies in digital identity infrastructure, what's the concerns of this technology? Credential interoperability. Until now, some country already has their national identity system, right? However, does my credentials certified by my country can be verified by other country? Actually, I have no idea. We need to integrate the system between different platforms and services. When more digital credentials born, more new standard or consortium bump up. Like Australia's digital ID system, European Digital Wallet Consortium, W3C, OpenID Foundation, Open Badges, and so on. Maybe it is a good timing we need a one standard or general SDK. Next, central database. Central database always has data privacy and security concerns with risk in a single repository. And especially, it may be our biometric data. So in the future, if the national database doesn't exist your biometric data, you may not exist in this digital world because the truth is decided by the data controller. Maybe we can consider more trusted way like decentralized database. About quantum computing, cryptographers are designing a new algorithm to prepare for a Q-day. It's interesting. The day when current algorithms will vulnerable to quantum computing attacks. It may break most cryptographic system, especially digital signature. And sure, scientists are still developing post-quantum resistant signature to build the next generation of digital identity infrastructure. In summary, our journey of the landscape of digital identity infrastructure, including PKI, multi-factor keys, and biometrics, reveals it is a complex process with challenges, but also rich with potential. Now, back to Jeff.
Okay, thank you, Henry, for the very delightful introduction. So there are so many things happening right now about digital identity. There are benefits, there are risks. So is digital identity really, really good for humanity? I think that is still a philosophy problems right now. The first issue is the data breaches, right? When you put everything in one place, there will be some people who are interested in knowing what if I can get in that place, and I might have access to all the data about the entire country and their citizens, and that just happened sometimes. So India EDHA, as I mentioned, is its largest national identity, national EID, and they just have a huge data breach just happened recently. So around 800 million Indian data leakage on the dark web. On the dark web, you can easily find their names, address, phone number, passport information, and even Aadhaar numbers. So when you want a convenience and you put everything together, you will get hacked all at once. Second part, the statelessness. Statelessness, I check on the dictionary, it means someone who, even though they live on the earth, maybe in a country, but they are not identified as any country's citizens. They don't have nationality. That means statelessness. In Pakistan, they have a identity called Pakistan Pak identity issued by CNIC, one of the country departments. They have a problem happen. There is a case, a woman who cannot attain their CNIC identity because she was abandoned. And when she wanted to apply for ID cards, she was unable to present her father's cards because she might not even know who her father is, or maybe not even have the access to her father's cards. So by not be able to apply for ID, that person actually lost the right to vote, to get educated, to see doctors, to open bank accounts, to apply for jobs. It's basically like everything a human needs to do throughout the lifetime, day-to-day jobs. She can do anything. She cannot do a thing out of it just because of the problem. So I think that's the second thing happened right here. The third one is the surveillance of the dependents. So even though digital identity is a very huge and important technology for people to have their mobility, make it portable, easily accessible, but when something getting too transparent, for example, in Saudi Arabia, they have an Absher app for people to issue the travel relevant identity. The problem happened right here is the male user can actually track the female dependents when they present travel documents and even revoke the dependent's travel permits, because the traditional of the country, the female are still like recorded as a dependent on the male citizens in the countries. And the EID actually provide the power for the men to control the travel, these kind of transportation wish for their dependents. So even though it's not yet the real-time tracking, but a man can control women's movements, I don't think that's a right direction to go by building the DID. And that is certainly not a purpose about providing an advantage for the world. So you might see there are so many problems right now, data breach, limitation on the transportation. So still, are there any future of the digital identity? There could be. It's a bit about us. So there, like, people in the world are building upon toward a purpose of a one ID for the earth. So WHO, they're actually using us, the Turing Service, to issue 12,000 certificates for the WHO PMNCH across 150 countries. So I think there are also some parties, the tech providers in the world, people are trying to make it more accessible for people, for the citizens who might be limited to technology. We want to make it more user-friendly, easily usable by all kind of voluntary organizations. So the future of digital identity is still a lot of problem to be discussed. For example, should it be decentralized or centralized? Should it be on blockchain or non-blockchain? Do we provide convenience or we create surveillance? Does it need to be closed source or open source? So the other problem comes to, can tech solve humanity, right? So back to this, digital identity is all about like what you know. That's where we started. The password, what you have, the mobile number 2FA, and also what you are. So that's the very beginning. And what about the future? What will password become? What will 2FA become in the future? We have a beliefs that what you know, the eventual final version will be consciousness, right? We can detect our own existence due to consciousness. What you have, it will be embodied chips. It's the only thing that is much difficult for people to lose, right? Because it's kind of like in your body. And RFID chips that make it portable. The third one is something that cannot be forged and fake. It could be genetic data. So the what you know, what you have, what you are, we might have a more evolved version of the token in the future. And that's the future of digital identity. Thank you so much. Hope you liked the talk today, and hope you learn sufficient knowledge when you are out of the conference room. You can tell everybody that, oh, right now I have at least like 70% confidence about the digital identity application across borders. I'm Jeff, and this is Henry. We are from Turing Space, and we wish you good luck. Thank you so much.